Hey everyone, and welcome to my long-awaited Q&A video. Thank you for everybody that sent in questions and things on YouTube and on Instagram. I've had loads of questions, so I'm not going to be able to get through and answer everybody's, but I have picked out the most common ones that I was asked and also some of the more slightly unusual ones that I just thought would be fun to answer. So I had pretty much an equal measure of personal questions to crochet related questions. So I'm going to split them and I'm going to answer the personal ones first and then I'm going to move on to the crochet ones. So I'm quite nervous. I don't really like being on the camera. So I'm going to treat this more like a little chat. So I've made myself a nice cup of tea and I'm just going to pretend that this is just a normal conversation with somebody on the other side of the table. So some of the questions were actually really basic questions that I can't believe that I've never actually put the answers out there to before, obviously. So I apologise for that, but one of the most common questions that I got asked is, what is my name? And I'm sorry that so many of you didn't seem to know. Obviously I've kept that to myself, which wasn't an intentional decision. It's just, I've just obviously never really put it out there. So my name is Rebekah, and I also got asked a lot how old I am. So I'm actually 32 years old. And where do I live? Obviously I live in the United Kingdom, but I live in the northwest of England and I live in a little town in between Liverpool and Manchester. Immediately in my vicinity, it's just a relatively quiet town and we live just on the outskirts of it. So we've got some really nice countryside as well. And you've probably seen that if you follow me on Instagram, some of my stories and things is us obviously out and about as a family. And I also got told, somebody must have a really good ear actually, I think her name was Rachel, and she said you actually sound a little bit Scouse. So well done for picking up on that, Rachel, because you're absolutely right. Obviously I do live near to Liverpool, so obviously I'm not broad Scouse or anything, but there is obviously a twang there that you picked up on, so well done for that. The other question I got asked a lot, and again, I didn't realise that so many people didn't know, I got asked whether I have any children, and the answer is yes. I have two children and they are called Lucy and Ewan. So Lucy is 8 years old now and Ewan, my little boy, he is 6. And as you can imagine, we're in the end of October and they are already on a major countdown to Christmas. So, but they are amazing and they are really supportive of the whole crochet thing and they love to tell their friends that their mummy does YouTube. Apparently it seems like quite a cool thing to be doing, so they love that, they're made up with that. I also got asked a few times whether I'm married, and again the answer to that is yes. And I've been married to my husband Stuart for almost 10 years. Our anniversary is actually coming up this December. It will be our 10th anniversary this December. We've been together for nearly 14 years, so we got together just around the time that I turned 18, and so obviously I've been with him for a very large portion of my life. But he's actually one of my brother's best friends growing up, so that is how we got to know each other. And so I've always known him pretty much, and he actually lived on the same street as us when we grew up. So he's always sort of been around, and then got married in 2008 when I was 22. This question I actually like because this is the sort of question that I would ask people because I absolutely adore animals, and they asked whether I've got any pets, and the answer again is yes. I have a little black cat called Monty, and we also have a gorgeous dog called Kono, and she is a husky. And Kono again is an unusual name, but we actually picked it after one of our favourite TV shows because my husband and I really like the new Hawaii 5-0 series, and there is a character in that called Kono which we really liked, and so our dog is now called Kono. So obviously crochet is my main thing that I do, but I also got asked whether I have any other crafty hobbies or anything like that, and whether I've tried knitting. Yes, I've tried knitting. Did it go well? Absolutely not. Did I give up? Yes, I did. So no, I can't knit. The only other thing really that I do that I would craft as crafty is I really enjoy making celebration cakes and things. So I will pop maybe a couple of pictures up somewhere around of some of the cakes that I've made. So obviously I only really make them for family and friends, but I really do enjoy making those. So that is probably my only other crafty hobby that I do really. And there's just two more personal questions now, and they are, do I have a normal job? No, I don't. This now is my job, so YouTube, the crochet, the whole social media side of everything, that is now my full-time job. But prior to that, I worked mainly for most of my working life in schools. So I worked as admin and things in a primary school for 9 years, and then I worked as in the office in a high school as well for a while, and then obviously we'll move on to that in a little bit, but that's when all the crocheting things started happening. So they were my normal jobs up until this point. And finally, I got asked a really hard question actually that I'm still not sure on what my answer is going to be, but I got asked what is my dream holiday destination. There's quite a lot of places, to be fair, that I want to see. I mean, I've seen some parts of the world. I've been to places like Singapore and Brunei, and obviously places in Europe like Spain and France and Switzerland. I've been to Switzerland a couple of times recently, and we really, really do love it there. But I think for a dream holiday destination, I'd quite like to go on a road trip around parts of America. I'd love to see places like Boston and New York, but then I would also like to go to places like the Maldives, obviously as an adult only holiday. You know, that really seems like the sort of place that you would want to go maybe without children, so maybe when the kids are much older we'll be able to save up a small fortune and go somewhere like the Maldives, but that would be really nice. That's it for all of the personal questions that I'm going to answer, and we're going to move on to the crochet related ones now. So again, I'm going to start with the most common ones that I got asked, and they were, when did you start crocheting / how long have you been doing crochet? So I picked up a crochet hook for the very first time in January 2016, so 2.5 years ago now. And I made my very first granny square blanket, and I gifted that to a friend, and that was it then. I absolutely had the bug for it, and I've not stopped ever since really. And also, what is my inspiration? So what inspired me to start crochet, and what inspires me to keep doing crochet? So that answer is actually a really easy one, and it is my lovely Nana that inspired me to learn how to crochet. And my lovely Nana I think she's 82, and when we were all younger she would make crochet blankets, and they were always granny square blankets, so really bright, colourful, all different colours in a granny square blanket. And we used to call them Joseph blankets because they would remind me and my brother of Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat, and so they were forever known as Joseph blankets, and we would always snuggle up in those if we weren't feeling well and things like that. So they always held a really, you know, a really special memory for us, and so that is what inspired me to start and to learn crochet. And obviously my Nana taught me everything she knew, which was really nice, and gifted me some yarn and hooks and things. So I'm going to pop a little picture of my Nana up as well. But yeah, it's my Nana that inspired me and continues to inspire me to crochet really, because obviously that is something that she did, which is now something that I'm going to carry on, and my daughter is starting to learn as well. So hopefully that's something, again, if she continues to do it, that she'll be able to pass on eventually as well. So that's a really nice thought that it's going to continue down the channels. So the other thing is, why did I start a YouTube channel? And the simple answer to that is I didn't want to. I'm sorry, just having a drink. And when I say I didn't want to, I don't mean that sort of disrespectfully to anybody, but I had no desire to put myself out onto the internet. I had no inclination to, you know, want to do that sort of thing. But as I was learning more and getting a little bit better at crochet through all the books and with my Nana's help, my husband said, you should really start doing a YouTube channel to show people how to crochet. And I fobbed him off for a while. I was just thinking, oh, you know, absolutely no way, it's not my cup of tea, don't really want to be doing that at all. But then he pretty much just sat me down at the kitchen table with the camera and said, just do one, put it up and just see what happens. So that is exactly what I did, and my very first video now makes me cringe so much when I look back at it. The lighting's not very good, the sound quality is pretty awful, but it was my first video and I'm never going to take it down, even though it's not very good in you know, technical detail as what maybe my newer videos are. But that was my granny square video, and you can tell that I was so nervous, my voice is shaking, I'm constantly clearing my throat, and oh yeah. So anyway, so I put that up and it started to get views, which surprised me, to be honest. And then I thought, I started to get comments such as, oh, what are you going to be doing next? I really like the way that you're teaching this, it's really easy to follow. So I thought, well, I'd better put up another video, and so I put up another one. I think the next one was a corner to corner video, and so it just snowballed from there really. Every week then I did start to put out more videos, and I was getting some subscribers as well, which again I never thought would necessarily happen. I thought I might get, you know, maybe 10 and they'd all just be family. But so it was actually really encouraging, and I started to get some really lovely feedback on my videos, and so I just kept going with it. But I have to admit, at absolutely no point did I ever think you're going to get over, you know, 100,000 subscribers and have almost 10 million views by this time the following year. So it really has been a massive surprise, but I'm obviously really grateful as well to everybody that's coming to my channel. But at the end of the day, it's just such a lovely feeling that I get, knowing that people are actually learning from what I'm putting out there, because there's so much rubbish out there, you know, negativity and pressure and all of that. So to actually put something out onto the internet that, you know, is creative and, you know, can give people a little bit of time out in a way from whatever might be going on. They can come home, they can learn something new from my channel, and then they can distract their mind and their hands by making something. I think that's just a really nice positive thing to be out there on the internet, and so that is why I started and why I continue to do it. So I'm hoping to obviously continue for quite a while. One question, sorry, I've obviously written notes about what questions have been asked, and one question that I got asked, I can't remember specifically who it was, asked whether my husband was supportive. On 99% of crochet related things and YouTube related things, he is massively supportive. He really is. He's great. He's been really good. But that little 1% that he's maybe not quite so supportive of is how massively my yarn stash has started to take over the house. It started obviously with just little bits of yarn here and there, and now we've got drawers and drawers full of it, and shelves and all kinds of things. So yeah, I don't think he's massively supportive of that bit, but it's tough, isn't it, I suppose. I also got asked whether I have a craft room and what it's like. Could we have a little video tour of it? And the answer to that, I'm afraid, is no, because I don't have a craft room. I do all of my videos and everything at the kitchen table. So that wooden background that you can see, that is actually our dining table. And I do all of my videos filmed there, and then I edit them on the computer in the living room. So there is no amazing craft cave to show you around. It's just our normal house. So I got asked what are my favourite yarns. I've got so many yarns that I absolutely love working with, but I have been amazing. I actually think I've done so well here because I've narrowed it down to my top 2 yarns to use. I know, top 2. So my first ones are Paintbox Chunky. I absolutely adore Paintbox Chunky. It's so soft, and if I was asked to make a baby blanket, that is probably my top go-to yarn, purely because it's chunky, so it means you can use a bigger hook, which means in turn obviously it grows a lot faster. Because I don't know about everybody else, but I'm a bit of a crochet butterfly. I tend to go, that's a lovely project, and start something, and then 2 minutes later I'm fed up with that and I go, oh, I really like that project, and I start making that as well. So projects that grow quickly are, and just, yeah, that is what I need 90% of the time. So I love Paintbox Chunky for that. But obviously also, it wouldn't be the Blossom Crochet channel if I didn't talk about Shapey Swirl, because ever since these came out I have used so many of them in my projects. I can't get enough of them. I absolutely adore the colours. I love the way it can make even the most simple pattern look amazing because of the gorgeous gradient in the colours. So Shapey Swirls are my absolute favourite yarn cakes and things, because I just love the colours and the blend. I don't think there's anything out there that I would prefer to work with. So they are my top 2 yarn brands. I got asked a lovely question as well of what are my favourite projects that I have made. That's actually really tricky. I think the one that I'm most proud of, that's probably a different thing to being favourite, but the one that I'm most proud of is my Mandala Madness that I made earlier this year. And obviously I had that mounted, and that is, you know, to go up on the wall. And I think that is the one that I'm most proud of because it was the most complex project that I've ever done. And it really tested my knowledge and my skills and things. And there were times that I literally wanted to throw it out the window and run over it in the car because I was getting so flustered with it. And then other times, obviously, once it was finished, it looked, I thought, really beautiful. And so I was very, very proud of that. But then when it comes to actually my favourite things that I've made, they're usually just the little things, to be honest. So the hats or the scarves that I've made for my kids, you know, because they're always so thrilled to be given them. That makes it, you know, some of my favourite things. And to obviously gift a baby blanket to somebody that I know, that is always a really nice feeling as well. I think I've made some really beautiful blankets, and when they're so well received, I think obviously that just gives you a really nice accomplished feeling. So sometimes it's not necessarily the most complicated projects that are my favourites, it's just the everyday things that people are thrilled to receive. I think they're the ones that end up being my favourite makes, really. And you'll be happy to know we're on the very last question now. Obviously, like I say, I'm not able to answer everybody's questions, but I have gone through as many as I thought decent in a video. Oh no, sorry, there's 2 questions left. So the other one was, are there any other Instagram people or YouTube people that you like or follow that you would like to mention? And there's a few on Instagram, so I'm going to list them. I've just picked out 4 from Instagram, but I literally could have done about 30. And my top 4 is, I will link them all below as well in the description box for you, for anybody that doesn't know about them, so you can nip and check them out. But I really like Celine from Crafty CC, and her feed just really brightens up my day, really, because everything she uses is always so bright, or rainbows, and so colourful. And so I really love her feed. It's always really, really, you know, happy, as it were. I also like Jelly Bean Junction, so that's, her name is Kate, and she's actually just released some dinosaur corner to corner cushion patterns, which are really, really nice, and I can't wait to actually make those, hopefully for in my little boy's room very soon. I also really like Little Duck Crochet, that lady's name is Sarah, and I've tested a pattern a couple of times for her, and she makes some really, really lovely patterns, and her feed is always really, really cheerful as well. It's really nice. And finally, IBM Mabel, so Angie at IBM Mabel. You've probably heard me talk about her before. She has some really amazing patterns that work beautifully with the Shapey Swirl, and so I've used a few of her patterns now, and also her feed is very nice as well of things that she's working on. So those are the 4 that I probably see the most. Oh, and Petal Shed as well. Sorry, I'm just going to slip another one in there. Petal Shed is a brilliant one to follow. Her things are always very spring and summery, and just beautiful flower fields basically. Her colour choices are always absolutely gorgeous. When it comes to YouTube, I have to be completely honest, I don't really watch a lot of YouTube personally. I don't, you know, my kids love it for things and my husband watches a lot, but I don't really use it for very much. But there are two that I've specifically used that are crochet for patterns that I've been doing. And the first one is Hooked by Robin. And if you followed me for a while, you'll know that I made her lotus flower blanket, which turned out beautifully. And so I'll leave a link to these as well in the description. But yeah, Hooked by Robin is one that is great. And also Esther from All in a Nutshell Crochet, her crochet YouTube channel. Now she does videos often based on other people's patterns. So she's been contacted by designers to probably pattern test and then also create a video tutorial to help. And the main one that I've used obviously is the Mandala Madness videos that she did. Obviously the pattern was by somebody else, which I had, but if there was ever a time that I was struggling, I could go over to It's All in a Nutshell, and Esther had literally step by step for every single stitch, so it was just really handy. And her voice is amazing as well, it's so soothing. So they are my YouTube and Instagram people that I personally follow or subscribe to. Finally, the final question I got asked probably about 20 times, and that is, why are you never on camera? Ta-da! Well, now I am. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I've never really been on the camera before apart from my hands, and there are two main reasons for that. The first reason is that you've probably gathered I'm not very comfortable in front of the camera. I struggle to maintain eye contact with the camera. I tend to, again, be a bit of a butterfly and I'm looking everywhere else while I'm trying to think of what I want to say. And so I'm just not particularly comfortable in front of it. I don't massively enjoy it. I'm much happier behind the camera and doing what I need to do. Obviously I've put that aside, but that's only for today. This is probably the only video now that I will ever be on camera for again. But the second reason, and this is the main reason really, is that it's just not what you're here for. You know, people come to my channel to learn a specific thing for crochet. They don't come to my channel for the Rebekah show. You know, it's not about me. It's about what you want to come here to learn, and that is what I wanted to do. You know, I didn't want it to be about me. I'm not interested in being on the camera particularly. I don't want people to recognise me if they see me in a yarn shop necessarily. I mean, don't get me wrong, if somebody recognised me and said hello, I would obviously be very, very nice and courteous and say hello and have a little bit of a chat and things, but you know, I'm not bothered about people knowing who I am. I'm quite happy to stay behind the camera, I really am. But also, another reason why I wasn't on camera, sorry, I've just thought of this now, is that there is one other video on my channel somewhere that I'm actually in, and that was the first time I ever put myself in front of the camera, and the day I did that I lost so many subscribers literally overnight. And so I thought, you see, that just proved my point. They don't need to see me, they're here for the crochet. And so I thought, yeah, never need to do that again. And so that was probably the other reason that I've never been on camera since then. But anyway, that is the end of all of my questions. I hope that A, you've learned something about me that you maybe didn't know before, even my name. And also, you know, I've tried to answer as many as I could. I will see you for a normal tutorial next week. But thank you if you've made it all the way to the end. Amazing, well done. But I will see you again very soon. Bye for now.